Donald Trump sent his son-in-law Jared Kushner and his daughter Ivanka to mark his big move in Israel last week, an intensely symbolic relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The move angered Palestinians, but to some guests at the opening, Trump was fulfilling a biblical prophecy. And the new embassy may not have happened if it weren't for the man many call the Godfather of the Republican Party. Billionaire casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, there he is in the front row with his wife Miriam, there she is. He was instrumental in persuading Trump to make the move. Adelson is worth around $40 billion U.S. He owns the Venetian Casino in Vegas and two other massive casinos in Asia.
According to Bloomberg,
you're the 10th richest man in the world.
10th, maybe it's, but think about that. There's 7 billion people. That means there's 6,999,990,000 people that are not at my level.
Count me in. The billionaire uses his fortune to influence a lot of policy. He's the GOP's biggest donor, shelling out about $100 million to elect Trump and other Republicans in 2016. Adelson didn't just want the embassy moved. He also lobbied Trump on Iran, an avowed enemy of Israel.
The United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. When I make promises, I keep them.
Just a few days after Trump delivered on that promise, Adelson committed another $30 million to the Republican Party, possibly the biggest single donation in U.S. history. Adelson's connections extend to other world leaders, too, including former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, who recently emerged from 2 years of pretty much political hibernation. In February, he became chair of the International Democracy Union, an international alliance of center-right parties. And then last week, after carefully avoiding almost any comment on Donald Trump, Harper boisterously defended him, endorsing a full-page ad in the New York Times saying Trump was right about Iran. The ad was paid for by the Friends of Israel initiative that Adelson helps fund and where Harper is a founding member. And the ad is not the only link between the two. In 2016, Harper was invited to Adelson's 44,000-square-foot mansion in Las Vegas, where he was the guest of honor at a private gathering for Jewish Republicans. After the dinner, he tweeted, "Thanks all for a great weekend in support of Israel." And just this past week, Harper spoke at a synagogue in Quebec, backing Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy. As Prime Minister, Harper was a big supporter of Israel and a pronounced hawk on Iran. He didn't move Canada's embassy to Jerusalem, but now that Trump has made his move, Harper says Canada should too. And his successor, Andrew Scheer, is on board. He made the promise in February, the same month that Harper got re-engaged in politics. The timing, of course, could be a complete coincidence, but Harper and Sheldon Adelson would approve. I'm joined by New York Times political reporter Ken Vogel. He writes about money and politics, including Adelson's ties to the GOP. So Ken, I'm trying to get a sense of just how close Donald Trump is to Sheldon Adelson. Like, can Adelson just show up at the White House?
Sheldon Adelson has had great access to the Trump White House and Trump administration officials and to Donald Trump personally. My sources tell me that they talk on the phone not infrequently, and he has attended private gatherings at the White House with Donald Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, the new National Security Advisor, John Bolton, and other administration officials. So he is, if not in the very inner circle, at least in the next ring out of Trump intimates.
Why is Adelson so driven on these causes, the mostly Israeli causes?
Yeah, he is a cause donor. It's been really his animating political issue behind his donations for some time. People I talked to trace it to his marriage to his wife, Miriam Adelson, in the early 1990s. Her parents fled the Holocaust, ended up in Israel where she was raised. And so for that reason, and others, he has really become a leading donor and a leading figure in this hawkish, pro-Israel, conservative sort of circle that is so influential in American politics.
So does he actually set the stage for U.S. Mideast policy?
Yeah, I think what he does is act as an enforcer. People are scared to some extent to cross him because they fear that if they anger him and fall out of favor with him, that his not only funding from him will dry up, but funding from this larger circle of Jewish American donors who give a lot of money in Republican politics.
So Trump gets money, support from Sheldon Adelson, but he also gets access or more support. I mean, the base is important of pro-Israel voters, both conservative Jews and evangelicals, which are a big part of Trump's support. They might seem like strange bedfellows, but explain that to us.
Well, Israel plays an important part in Christian theology. It's a critical part of the origin story, and it is the place to which Christians believe that Jesus will come back, eventually resulting in the conversion of Jews to Christianity. So for that reason, Israel has played an important part in the sort of psyche of evangelicals who tend to vote Republican. Many American Jews tend to vote Democratic, but there is this very influential small group, relatively small group of Jewish donors who give a disproportionate amount of the money to the Republican Party.
Our former Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, has always been a big supporter of Israel. He actually has strong ties to the evangelical community. He also has ties to Sheldon Adelson, has spoken at his house, and signed that big ad in the New York Times recently, supporting the backing away from the Iran deal, and he's been supportive of the move of the embassy as well. Does that make sense to you that Adelson and Harper would be linked?
Yeah, absolutely. Adelson, in his effort to sort of push more confrontational foreign policy solutions around the world, but particularly vis-a-vis Israel, the American foreign policy towards Israel, has formed alliances with politicians around the world who have similar stances. Obviously, in Israel, he has a very close relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, and it would make sense for him to be forming these types of alliances with other politicians or sort of thought leaders around the world who have similar stances. Stephen Harper certainly fits into that category, and potentially as head of an organization or as a key figure in an organization that is pushing these types of foreign policy stances, he could benefit from funding, perhaps from Sheldon Adelson, certainly from other donors who are in that same circle with Sheldon Adelson, where Sheldon Adelson is considered a leader.
Ken Vogel, thank you so much. Interesting to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
We reached out to the former Prime Minister for a comment on this story, but he hasn't responded.